Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Coming up tonight, special delivery. The first batch of COVAX vaccines are in country. This as health officials take vaccinations to West End, Grand Bahama. And $3.1 million worth of cocaine discovered on Eleuthera. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, the first batch of the AstraZeneca COVID-19 vaccine from the COVAX facility arrived in the Bahamas today. With the long holiday weekend just days away, the Prime Minister urges Bahamians to be on their best behavior. This as he downplayed growing criticism over political campaigning during a state of emergency. Jasmine Brown reports.
The Prime Minister not only talked about those vaccines, he also talked about why Bahamians should not gather this holiday weekend. However, when he was asked about why politicians continue to campaign during the pandemic, he insisted they're doing it right.
You would have seen them still spacing out somewhat, and each and everyone, regardless of the political organization, each and everyone were wearing a mask.
The Prime Minister was responding to questions from reporters about the hypocrisy of continuing to campaign and attract large crowds while asking residents not to gather in large groups, just moments after 33,600 doses of vaccines from the COVAX facility arrived on a flight from Miami. While he defended the campaign events that attract large crowds, Minnis also appealed to residents to avoid those large gatherings this holiday weekend.
Imagine you're running the 100-meter race and you want to reach the finish line. The only person or individuals that can slow COVID down is you, the Bahamian people, by utilizing wearing masks, social distancing, and sanitization. Only you, your support, and enforcement of the laws and the orders can slow COVID down. So if the Bahamian people did their part in slowing COVID in lane 3, we will do our part in accelerating lane 4 and let the vaccine reach the finish line before COVID.
The PM added that he was concerned about the large number of crowds seen gathering on the shorelines in recent days.
We do not want to discourage them from going on the beach, but I would discourage them to avoid the large mass gathering that I've seen just recently and I've seen in the press, as that simple gathering can cause our entire country and economy to go in a tailspin and backward from whence we came, especially at a time when we're now growing. And I would advise that for those that are in groupings, allow that group to be only household members.
The Prime Minister's appeal comes as new outbreaks of the virus are popping up across some islands. When asked if the Bahamas could be headed for another lockdown, Minnis said this.
Once we aggressively continue our contact tracing, aggressively isolate those who are infected, and aggressively vaccinate the population as much as possible, I think we can avoid that.
Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
Well, the distribution of COVID-19 vaccines is expanding to other islands. The Prime Minister revealing that vaccinations began on Eleuthera today and will move to other islands next week.
Vaccinations are starting on Eleuthera today, Tuesday, March 30th. They will continue through Thursday, April 1st, starting with the healthcare workers, residents over 60, and staff of the uniformed branch. Vaccinations on Abaco and Bimini are expected to start next week after the Easter holidays.
Paho Country Representative Dr. Eldana Boisson says the other 67,200 doses are scheduled to arrive in the Bahamas in May.
We do not yet have the vaccines that we need to protect everyone. It's what happens when the whole world must rely on too few manufacturers. Our goal at this time must be to save as many lives as possible by prioritizing the early doses for those who are at highest in risk of infection, of hospitalization, and of death due to this virus.
And a video of a crowded Cabbage Beach causing concern as coronavirus cases increase. Jared Higgs reports.
Dozens of people converged on Cabbage Beach on Sunday. The person who filmed this video says most people on the beach were 18 and 19 years old. Few people can be seen wearing masks, and there doesn't appear to be much social distancing. Another person who attended the beach says they saw a bus pull up and drop 15 young people off. Minister of Tourism Dionisio de Aguilar says he's seen the video and even questions how much police could do to prevent that kind of crowd.
The enforcers of the health protocols are doing the best that they can, but if there's widespread disregard for the protocols, no matter how many police you put on the ground, it's going to be too difficult to keep it under control.
Vice President of the Consultant Physician Staff Association, Dr. John Dillett, has urged Bahamians not to be selfish and gather in crowds. De Aguilar says those actions could have far-reaching implications.
We got to double down and make sure that we don't bring about a third wave. It would be extremely troubling to the rebounding and the restarting of our tourism economy if that were to happen.
Concern over public gatherings has increased as health officials reveal an increase in COVID-19 infections in the country. That increase isn't limited to New Providence. Grand Bahama has half of all hospitalized cases, according to the latest Ministry of Health COVID-19 dashboard.
It's absolutely vitally critical that we all take whatever measures are necessary to ensure that we don't have this third wave. And while I understand to a certain degree a number of Bahamians are clamoring for enforcement, we also need to, as a people, ensure that we abide by the rules.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
In other news, a joint effort between several law enforcement agencies resulted in the discovery of $3.1 million worth of cocaine on Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera, Monday. Bethany McDermott has the details.
Police are searching for two men on Eleuthera after officers discovered $3.1 million worth of cocaine on the island. According to Assistant Commissioner of Police Solomon Cash, the drugs were found in 6 multicolored bags containing 155 packages. He said police received intelligence that an aircraft was set to land with suspected cocaine.
As a result of that information, assisted by international law enforcement agencies, the U.S. Coast Guard, U.S. Customs and Border Protection, the Drug Enforcement Administration, the Royal Palms Police Force, DEU, and our local officers on the island of Eleuthera launch a comprehensive investigation concerning this aircraft.
Shortly after noon Sunday, the aircraft landed at an airstrip on Governor's Harbor, Eleuthera. However, no drugs were found at the time and the two men on board were released.
Observed leaving the aircraft was 2 individuals. They were searched, however, nothing found in their possession.
However, the ACP said the search continued throughout the night until early Monday morning when the drugs were uncovered. Cash urged the two men that left the plane to turn themselves into police, who believe this incident is a transnational crime.
Sometime this morning after 9 a.m., that surveillance team and the operational search team recovered from the airstrip some 6 multicolored bags, each containing a large quantity of suspected cocaine. What we're saying to those 2 individuals that disembarked the aircraft, that they should surrender to the police. I can tell you and I can assure you that we are following very significant leads as to who they are, and they are being sought at this time.
The Assistant Commissioner said police believe the men are still on Eleuthera. Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
And a 30-year-old Defense Force officer was charged in a magistrate's court on Grand Bahama today with possession of an illegal firearm and ammunition. Latario Gardner in the black hoodie pleaded not guilty to the charge and was granted $5,000 bail. On Saturday, officers searched a man near the International Bazaar and found a black and silver Smith & Wesson 9mm gun with 10 rounds of ammunition. Officers later identified the man as a Defense Force officer. Gardner returns to court on July 21st. Another sunny day in the capital. Here's Greg Thompson with the latest.
Thanks, Christina. I'm meteorologist Greg Thompson with your first look at weather. Warm evening outside our studios. A little bit of breeze out there as well. Temperatures are in the mid-70s, 75 degrees outside our studios. Your winds out of the southeast at 10 knots with just a few passing clouds, and those feels-like temperature are still in the mid-70s. Satellite view around the chain of islands. That high pressure remains in charge, generating mostly dry and clear skies across the island chain. But the breeze is picking up really out of the southeast, bringing some moisture across the central Bahamas, so we could see a couple isolated showers throughout the rest of the evening. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on our news, vaccinations move to West End, plus Exuma businesses excited about Crystal Cruises. Stay with us.
Nearly 2 years as Chief Justice, and Sir Brian Morey is pushing an aggressive agenda to modernize the judiciary despite the circumstances of COVID. In his own words, the Chief Justice on the record Thursday, April 8th at 8 p.m. on RTV Cable Channel 212 and on the RTV Facebook page.
COVID-19 vaccinations moved to West End, Grand Bahama today, where scores of residents lined up for hours to get the jab. West End resident Karen Smith is a diabetic with heart issues and says she knew she had to be one of the first in line for the vaccine.
But I advise, whether you're young or not, take it. It's for help. It's to help you to fight off the COVID. So please take it.
As far as I'm concerned, AstraZeneca, I would prefer the Moderna or Pfizer, but seeing as we have AstraZeneca, I guess I'll have to go with that.
24? What number are you, sir? 25? Okay, yeah.
Today's vaccinations come days after Grand Bahama Health Services said in a statement that due to the oversubscription of the AstraZeneca vaccine, Saturday's vaccination exercise has been canceled until further notice. We spoke with Lenwood Neely, who says everyone in his tight-knit community should get vaccinated.
This is something that we all need to take because it protects us, plus it protects our neighbors. You see? We get in contact with other people, and I think if most people all takes it, then there's nothing to worry about. You know, there are some people who are afraid of it. I don't know why, but they need to do it.
Well, following the opening of the Grand Lucayan Resort, Port Lucaya businesses are optimistic that Grand Bahama's struggling tourism industry will soon rebound. Jillian Gray reports.
I don't know if it can get any worse, because this is rock bottom in Grand Bahama right now.
It's been a game of survival for some Grand Bahama businesses. Owner of Zorba's Nick Vacato says the past 2 years have all been downhill, and while things have not yet balanced out, the opening of the Grand Lucayan Hotel does provide a glimmer of hope.
With the opening of the hotel, everything is a plus. I hope the deal goes through, and to see more action on the ground, I think is a good thing. But the government purchased the airport as a plus. It's a start.
The once bustling Port Lucaya marketplace has been severely hit by the devastating combination of Hurricane Dorian and the pandemic. Some stores in Port Lucaya remain shuttered, and the 80 or so straw vendors have yet to return to their stalls. Vacato says he has been able to keep his 98 staff members employed by the support of locals. Second home owners began to return once restrictions relaxed, and they have even seen a few tourists trickle in.
It's a struggle right now, you know what I mean? But if we made it this far, we only could be patient. I think better days are to come.
Social media was the saving grace of the Pandora store. As store manager Lisa Johnson says that was one of the only ways to draw customers in. The 8-month shutdown because of the pandemic significantly affected their bottom line. The Grand Lucayan Resort opened its doors this week, and Johnson says that was a baby step towards sale increases.
That would be like a breath of fresh air. Really, truly, to see tourists on the island would be a positive outlook for us here in Port Lucaya and in Pandora, definitely. We haven't seen them for a whole year, so it really has been a nightmare.
Both Vacatos and Johnson have high hopes for the travel industry to rebound.
Just like how the Bahamians want to go to the United States, the tourist wants to come to the Bahamas. And so if we work together and think positive with what is coming at our way, with the hotel being opened, I think that we will make it.
This is supposed to be our busiest time of the year. I think this year is going to be reversed. Our slowest time is going to be our busiest time, which is July, August, September, October. I think with everybody taking the vaccines now and the ease of restrictions.
I'm Jillian Gray.
Well, as Crystal Cruises prepares to set sail in the Bahamas in July, some Exuma businesses are expressing excitement and optimism about opportunities for locals. Kyle Joaquin has that.
It's not just about filling boats, but actually getting the wider community involved in this.
Rebecca Lightbourne says Crystal Cruises has already been in contact with Exuma tour companies and other vendors to provide activities and experiences for passengers once the cruise begins its stops in the Bahamas. Crystal Cruises has a 7-night Bahamas Escapes itinerary, which cruises from its home port in the Bahamas, making 16 departures from either Nassau or Bimini to Harbor Island, Great Exuma, Long Island, and San Salvador beginning July 3rd. Lightbourne says it's creating huge opportunities for the island.
And while we've been contacted to provide swimming pigs excursions, there's so many other things that people can be doing. People in Exuma can be kayaking. People while they're here can take boat tours to chat and chill. They can take experiences over to do just beach days, so here at Big D's or over at other beach barbecues.
And she's not alone. Daybreak Cleaning Services owner Nakano Roll says he feels there will be a trickle-down effect felt throughout the entire island.
And it will benefit everybody. So we'll move from one cycle from the busy season into a slow period, but then those people being here will actually improve on the slow period and allow persons to make money.
It can make some revenue happen for the people of the West Industry.
Crystal Cruises will operate at a capacity of 900 guests per departure to allow for social distancing. Passengers must show proof of COVID-19 vaccination to board. But these Exuma business owners say they're excited as this will be a much-needed boost for them, particularly coming off of a rough year.
As we here in Exuma and many islands, for the last 12 months, we rely heavily on tourism. We were negatively impacted, had our challenges. So therefore we welcome this.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
There's more news coming up, but first, your RF Market Watch.
It's now time for tonight's Financial Market Minute, brought to you by RF, your local investment bank. Has been your Financial Market Minute. To explore the best performing mutual fund in the Bahamas, visit our website at www.rfgroup.com.
When our news returns, meet the independent candidate hoping to become the next Garden Hills MP. Plus, the University of the Bahamas goes digital with UB Fit. Stay with us.
Every new season of On the Record, we push the limits. Venture into unknown territory. We take our cameras into places unseen before. We share the stories and experiences that affect us all. And now it's time for Season 5. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on RTV Cable Channel 212 and streaming live on Facebook on the R News Bahamas page.
This is our news. Welcome back. A leader in the Rastafarian community is going against the grain, throwing his hat in the ring as a candidate in the next general election. In tonight's edition of Meet the Candidate, Kyle Joaquin sits down with priest Rithmond McKinney.
Meet priest Rithmond McKinney.
Me getting inside the political arena is for true justice, not for Ghanaians alone, but for the country at large.
An Ethiopia Black International Congress ambassador for the Bahamas, Priest Rithman has been fighting for the rights of Rastafarians. A South Andros native, McKinney says he's been encouraged for years to throw his hat in the race, but for various reasons he did not. But after seeing many within his community arrested for possession of marijuana, despite it being a religious sacrament for them, Priest Rithman says someone with their interests at heart has to come to the table.
The oppression is still going on, and we should ease the burden on our people because it brings more ills in our society. That's all they do.
Priest Rithman now running to be elected as the next Member of Parliament for the Garden Hills constituency, an area he says he has a lot of plans for. And he's not doing it on a major party's ticket, but as an independent candidate.
And this represents cleanliness. This represents, we broom for cleaning. So when I bring the broom this morning, it's to let you know whoever the garden is, I come to sweep them out. And I hope that all ex-government gets sweep out and become to keep the place clean and bring justice and bring equity to our people.
That broom is just one of the products made in the community. From garments to juices, Priest Rithman said their goal is to get money back in the hands of the black man and for there to be equity.
The broom we use in the store now is pure plastic. And they take like 10 years before they dissolve from rotten market.
I'll make these right here.
We made this right here in the camp. So I want the justice to the nation, and we won't be able to buy back and buy black.
A firm believer in getting back to African roots, Priest Rithman walks with his rod in hand, painted on it the black man's banner and the United Nations coat of arms. He says he believes the Bahamas and the rest of the Caribbean should engage in more commerce with Africa. If elected, he'd be the first member of the Rastafarian community in Parliament. With this edition of Meet the Candidate for Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
And tonight in sports, Buddy Hield and the Kings on a hot streak. Marcellus Hall has the rundown.
All right, thanks a lot, Christina. Welcome to our sports on a Tuesday, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Tell you what, it's not been exactly a great season for Buddy Hield and the Kings. They have underperformed, to say the least. However, as of late, they've been a bit of a hot streak, winning 4 in a row, going for 5 last night. Let's take a look. Buddy Hield and the Sacramento Kings up against the San Antonio Spurs yesterday evening. Kings looking for their 5th straight win. Buddy, he would log 34 minutes on the floor, made 7 of his 13 shots, including 5 3-pointers, finished up with 20 points. Kings, most importantly, they get the win, 132-115. Meanwhile, University of the Bahamas going full speed ahead with plans for the annual UB Fit Run, which will be used as a fundraiser. UB spokeswoman Candice Eldon talked about the adjustments they had to make.
Because of COVID-19, we've had to adjust the way that we're going to do this race. Much like Marathon Bahamas and Bahamas Half, we're going virtual. So virtual basically means you will walk, run, bike, skate, or push on your own between April 9th to the 11th. You can go on your treadmill, in a community park, in your neighborhood. You can do the 5K or the 10K. And basically you'll use just an app on your phone or smartphone and take your time and upload it.
Eldon adding that with the new format, they hope to assist as many students as possible as they get used to the virtual format.
Funds this year will not only support our annual fund, but will also support our pantry and technology for our students. We want to buy laptops, tablets. We need data because students are like, okay, I have a tablet, but I don't have data. So we're working with Corporate Bahamas to find ways to bring more technology and support for our students.
And that's your look at sports for you here on this Tuesday. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you, Christina.
Still to come, how the RISE initiative helps businesses on Grand Bahama to recover after Dorian. Stay with us.
Every new season of On the Record, we push the limits. Venture into unknown territory. We take our cameras into places unseen before. We share the stories and experiences that affect us all. And now it's time for Season 5. On the Record, Thursdays at 8 p.m. on RTV Cable Channel 212 and streaming live on Facebook on the R News Bahamas page.
Welcome back to our news. Is there any rain in the forecast? Greg has the answer over in the Weather Center.
Thanks again, Christina, and a happy Tuesday evening, everybody. Breezy and warm conditions around the islands as that high-pressure system remains in charge. But we do have a disturbance to the north of the Bahamas associated with an old frontal boundary that's lifting back towards the north. Frontal boundary expected by the weekend, Thursday into Friday, ushering a nice change. Some showers associated with that, but the breezy conditions and the cooler temperatures expected by the weekend. Boating conditions for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. East to southeast winds 15 to 20 knots. Caution flag for you guys. 4 to 6 foot seas expected. While in the southeast Bahamas, an advisory is posted. East to southeast winds 15 to 25 knots. Seas very rough 5 to 8 feet over the ocean. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a safe and great night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. Well, 15 months after the Restoring Industry Sustaining Employment Initiative was launched on Grand Bahama, RISE will officially come to a close. RISE is a collaboration between Mercy Corps and the Grand Bahama Port Authority with the financial support of the American Red Cross and Bacardi Limited. The program's initial goal was to assist 100 businesses impacted by Hurricane Dorian with grants of up to $10,000. However, RISE reevaluated its goals, aiming to provide $2.5 million in funding to nearly 300 businesses across the island. Officials say while evidence of Hurricane Dorian is still apparent, the reemergence of economic activity would have been considerably more challenging without the program. Well, thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.